Welcome everybody to Digital Tools and Structures. And today's workshop will briefly discuss a few things on digital tools and structures, how to prepare services and products for market readiness. And then we will also look at how to calculate risk in these circumstances. Before we dive in, our speakers will introduce themselves.
All right, so my name is Kwame Osei, one of the co-founders of Readiness.
Okay, all right. So this is Kwame Osei. Yes, he's a co-founder at Get Hypnotized and Fair Pointers. He's also a software developer with over 10 years of experience. He's a geographical information systems expert as well, and an entrepreneur and keynote speaker, as you can see today. The next speaker is me. My name is Gideon Saki, and I'm the Dean of Students with the Azubi Africa Graduates Program. I'm also a trainer and mentor with the German Institute of Business and Technology. I do have experience in technical test engineering, and also I have a degree in information technology from the Methodist University. So we would like to dive in and talk about today's topic. Kwame will begin, and because we are co-facilitating this program, we'll be doing a back and forth. I'll be speaking, Kwame will be speaking, and then when it's time for questions, we can all just chip in. Okay, thank you. So our goals and objectives for today. One of our key goals is to identify easily accessible digital structures and tools. We're saying easily accessible because we want to be able to have easy access to things that we can quickly transform to benefit us, things that we can quickly turn around for our own use. And we'll also look at identifying market-ready products and services. So things that we as individuals can quickly do. We should be able to identify these products and services that we can quickly take to the market. And that is what we want to also achieve today. And then thirdly, ideas on building a successful enterprise. Kwame has a lot of experience in that area. I do have a little as compared to his, and we hope that at least some of our stories would empower you or would actually give you the inspiration to go out and then create your own stories. So we start with our thematic breakdown and definitions. We understand that everything that we need to do, we need to define. We need to be able to define our topics. We need to be able to define some of the terms we'll be using, and this will give us a good context of what it is that we are dealing with. What are digital tools? So these are mainly software and platforms for teaching or learning in these times, for conducting business, for doing a whole lot of things. And these can be used with computers or mobile devices. These actually work with text, images, all forms of media, all right? And some of the easy ones we can actually identify, we can talk about word processing software, we can talk about presentation software, we can even talk about communication software. These are all digital tools that is, accessible to us, that is, we have available to us today, especially in these times. And when we talk about digital tools, eventually you want to be able to have a tool or something that will allow you to do some work, something that will allow you to achieve a goal. And these are digital tools that we're talking about. Kwame can just give a brief comment on digital tools, and then we move on to our other definitions as well.
Yeah, so thank you, Gideon. So basically, when we talk about digital tools, we are looking at word processors, we are looking at presentation software. When we talk about word processors, we are looking at anything from Notepad to Microsoft Word to anything that you can use on the PC to, put input information. Presentation software, I mean, you're familiar with Microsoft PowerPoint, you're familiar with Keynote. Those are things that you can use to present information to someone or an audience, basically. And I mean, including tablets and mobile apps as well. I mean, there are a lot of them out there that can be used to take notes as well, to do presentations as well. Yeah, Gideon, I think we can continue.
Thank you, Kwame. So to conclude on that, just as we have physical tools, just as we have tools that we use for engagement in any form of work endeavor, we also have digital tools that we use in achieving these same results as well. Now we talk about structures. So in this context, what then are structures? So we look at structures as the arrangement of components according to a plan, and then the organization of things or pattern definition of things. We want to bring this down to a very basic level. When we say something is structured, it means it is properly organized. It means it is properly arranged. It means there is a pattern that you can easily identify. It means that you can predict your movements from point A to point B, and then you know you can consistently actually achieve these results based on it. When something is also structured, it gives you a room of confinement. It gives you it gives you sort of like a space for you to operate in. So it's at the back of your mind, you kind of have a general idea of how you want things to operate. When we talk of structures, especially in relation to digital tools, we see that digital tools operate in a certain manner. And as such, when you see something which deviates from the norm, immediately you know that, no, this is a malfunction because it is not conforming to the structure of this digital tool. It is not conforming to the structures that have been put in place for this digital tool to operate in. Kwame, if you can add something to that.
Well, basically, I think you covered it well. So I think we can move on to the next slide.
Wonderful. Yes. So we have defined digital tools. We have also looked at structures. And in fact, these structures could also be platforms that allow these digital tools to operate. These structures can also be infrastructure itself that runs these digital tools, okay? So what is an enterprise? What is an enterprise? Kwame will take lead on this one.
So basically, when you talk about an enterprise, you're looking at a for-profit business or a company, which is definitely most often associated with entrepreneurial initiatives or ventures or that kind of thing. So basically, you have an idea or you have a product, and then you make it market ready in a form that you know that the product will sell to bring in some profit. And then as you begin to grow, it grows into a bigger company or an enterprise. So basically, when you're looking at enterprises, you have an idea, you morph it into a product, and then you begin to sell to the end user.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you very much. So an enterprise, basically, you want something out of it. You have a product or service, like Kwame said, and you want to be able to turn that product or service into revenue or income, something to generate revenue for you. Okay. Then we look at market readiness. Now, I don't want us to get bored with these definitions, but it is so that we understand what we're talking about. When we understand the various components, then we see how all these come together to help you attain the goal that we want to attain. Being able to take advantage of these digital tools and structures, preparing your product and service to be market ready, and then calculating the risk involved in that as well, okay? So when we say market readiness, we are looking at a product or services readiness for introduction into commerce. Commerce refers to transactions, introduction into business, introduction into the market, whereby people can access your product or service, people can make use of it, people can take advantage of it, people can use it for their own benefit and the benefit of others as well. And when a product or service is at that level where it can easily be used, it can be used to its maximum benefit, a product or service is market ready when it is able to fully meet the needs of a client, able to fully meet the needs of a user as well. So then we go to what is risk, risky business. Someone will say, this thing you're doing is very risky business. So what do we mean by risk? And then we look at how do we calculate risk as well. So what is risk? A risk simply implies that you have a future uncertainty of your expected outcomes. So you're uncertain about what is going to happen with regard to a line or course of action, okay? And this is usually a deviation from your expected earnings, especially with regard to the topic we're discussing, with regard to market readiness, with regards to enterprises. A risk is something that would deviate from your expected earnings. So you don't know the outcome of your line of action, you don't know the outcome of whichever course of action you want to take regarding your business. Anything that deviates or anything which goes contrary to your expected earnings or outcomes, that thing is a risk. And that is what we are looking at. Now, what does it mean to calculate risk? What does it mean to now calculate risk? That is whereby you as an entrepreneur or even as an enterprise holder, you are taking a chance, okay, after careful consideration, and you've estimated the possible outcomes of your actions. You have looked at what does this action lead to, what does a consequence of the action actually lead to, and then what is the outcome of that action. And when you have done that undertaking, then you have actually looked at the outcomes. Okay, this could lead to A, this could lead to B. After it has led to B, there's a possible C. So here you have been able to calculate it. And the most important thing to note here is that it just doesn't mean you calculating risk, but being able to withstand the consequences of those risks. Okay, which is very important to know that even after you've calculated your risk, now are you going to take the action to yield the benefits or the fruits of whatever action you want to take? And one thing to note, which I've already mentioned, is that you need to weigh and assess yourself and see, will I be able to take the consequences of this risk? Am I prepared for the consequences of this risk? And sometimes we don't realize that one course of action, which might be a risk, could actually end up in a good result. And that good result might actually end up being a bad one for you because you are not prepared for the good result. So it's not just about negative results, but about good results as well. So when you consider all risks as being able to accommodate the consequences of the actions that need to be taken, then you are able to better calculate them, and then you're able to better go ahead and make an informed decision. Kwame?
Yes, basically, so in business, it's very important to assess your risks because, I mean, from even inception periods, if these things are not taken into consideration, I mean, it gets to a particular point in time where every fund you have put in the business can just be lost. So risk is a very important part of in planning any enterprise at all.
Okay, wonderful. So we move ahead. Now, this is the defining moment. How does it all come together? How does all of this come together? Okay, Kwame and I will be sharing a few stories, but I just want to quickly recap what we've covered. It looks like definitions, but these are tools, these are things that information we can use to actually make an impact in whichever area of endeavor we've decided to engage in. So we've looked at the digital tools. And a common one, as we know, is like Microsoft Word. So word processing. Okay, this is a digital tool. Now, you as an entrepreneur or you as someone who wants to form an enterprise, you are looking at your tools that are easily available to you. How can you identify digital tools to use? So look at your skills, your current skill set. What things are you able to do? What things do you find yourself trying to do over and over again? What processes do you find that are very important or crucial to your business? What are the critical things or tasks that you undertake each and every time? These questions guide you to be able to actually identify the right kind of digital tools you need. So if you are someone who is given a product or a service that involves a lot of reading, that involves a lot of content, definitely you need some form of word processing tool. You need some form of web management tool. In terms of websites development, you need something of that sort. Now, if you also have a business or a product or service which involves you being able to relate to clients, you definitely need to have some form of structure whereby you are able to easily communicate with clients or even communicate with colleagues or co-workers. So here we have some communication tools. We can talk about some of them like Slack. We can talk about we can talk about Teams, Microsoft Teams. There are several of them that we can identify and you can use within your organization for such a benefit. Now, when we look at the structures as well, when we look at the structures, over here, the structures actually enable you to work within a particular format, to work within a certain set of rules. And using these tools on that platform, using these tools within a structure allows you to be more efficient as an entrepreneur, all right? Now, some of the structures, we can look at the online platforms that we have, even when it comes to video conferencing, just as we have right now. These are structures that have been put in place, and most of them are actually, they serve as both tools and structures for consumption as well. So here we see a combination of these. Identify your digital tools, you look at your skill set, you look at your operations. What things do you do critically? What operations or actions are critical to your business? You look at these and then you're able to identify the tools that you would need for that. So when you're able to list these down, searching for them is quite easy. Immediately, you know the transition of a tool that you need, and then you're able to get that tool digitally, and then you use it for your business. Now,
all right,
yeah, okay,
quickly,
Kwame, please
sorry,
go ahead.
not to jump in, just quickly, one of the success stories that supports this is I can use one of the companies I co-founded, Fairpointers. And basically, the digital tool we use is PowerPoint. And the whole business model is provide PowerPoint support to management consultants. These management consultants sit far away in Germany, okay? So basically, the idea is if they have a presentation to do, say maybe the next day, probably maybe 9 a.m., they send us the content of what they want to present. They try to tell us the idea of what they want to pitch. And then the company creates the PowerPoint presentation for them and then sends it to them so that when they go for their board meeting or whatever meeting it is, they are able to present their ideas brought together in our PowerPoint presentation. So basically, this was the idea that we started the company with. And this is something that we produce for management consultants. So this is how the idea has been crafted into a business using the digital tool, Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Kwame, for that. And I also want to share and then add another one. Our examples are very basic, but they are creating global impact. Very, very basic examples, but with global impact. Now, when we talk about word processing, I happen to have been involved in a transcription service business. And this is transcription whereby we listen to audios and then we're able to transcribe them to text, convert them to text for users. And we engage with clients all over the world, universities in the medical field, mainly across the globe. And we had about 98% of our clients being in America. Now, we were using basic tools, just Microsoft Word, and then even this open source software, which was VLC. And you could actually give hotkeys to VLC to enable you do a stop play sort of thing, whereby you are just using the keyboard to stop play, forward, reverse audio, and then you are able to type these things out. And you just need these two tools, which is very easily accessible. Microsoft Word is very easily accessible, or any other kind of word processing software is very easily accessible. VLC is actually an open source software. You can actually get it online for free. And we were able to create a product, and all we needed to do was to create a website. We created a website, and we were able to put a few things together in terms of web content. And we put all these things there, And then we were now able to sell the product. We use social media. Okay, so from one client to another who gave very good reviews, we suddenly had a good client base from universities and other fields as well. So these are practical examples. These are not things that we've just come up with, but these are real life experiences. These are real life stories, and this is how we can actually take advantage of these things. Now, some of the risks we calculated was that we do not have enough money to be able to set up a brick and mortar company, or to be able to hire a place or rent out a place to be able to begin business. But we were able to do this from our homes. Okay, I and a group of friends, we were able to do this from our homes, and we didn't have to get some overhead cost or anything. But then we were able to also deliver a service which was market ready. Our clients were happy with the process, and we engaged other platform tools where file sharing tools that clients were able to get on, and then they were able to access their documents anytime they wanted. They had accounts and they were able to access their documents. So some of these tools are actually easily and readily available, and there are lots of them that are open source if you don't even have the money, or you don't have the funding or capital to actually continue with them. Okay, all right. I think we are about getting to a close, exactly on the dot. So we have.
Thank you,
Yes.
Gideon. So
Yes.
basically, we are out of time. So I would advise anyone who has questions for us, you can check out our profiles and just reach out to us via email. We'll be happy to respond and continue with any engagements there. Thank you so much for your
Yes.
time.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll just add one more thing. What's your story? And if you don't have one, please create one. You can actually begin creating one right now. Okay. And thank you all for tuning in. And y'all stay safe. Okay.